So I'm doing the water pump on my Blazer today, which I'm not making a video of, but as I'm working I found this kind of sloppy repair job on the transmission cooler line. I'm not sure if it's high pressure or low pressure. I don't remember which one's the high pressure, but this one I fixed already. They were both the same. They're both basically, in the radiator is a kind of Home Depot fitting that's flared on the end, and it's a piece of rubber fuel line. And the actual cooler line, it's flared on the end, but there's no fitting anywhere in sight. You can see this is a little protective collar that went over the fitting. For some reason they decided that this piece of hose, which as you can see, I didn't loosen the clamps. It's that loose. So to fix the problem, I bought a couple of these gator gripper compression fittings from the auto parts store. They cost about $4. I think it was like $3 and change. It was like $3.80 something. These are made for fuel lines, transmission cooler lines, oil lines. They're not made for brake lines. It says specifically right there, do not use on automotive brake lines because they're not made to handle that kind of pressure. But basically, this is 3/8. You have a fitting, a collar, and then the male-to-male adapter. And what you do is you cut the line. Use a professional cutter. You can buy them at auto parts stores. I can't remember how much it costs, but it's a little cutter about that big. And you tighten it, spin it, tighten it, spin it, cut the line, and then you take this and you slip it over the line, and then you put the collar over it too. So that's going over the line, and then you thread it in to here. And as you're threading it, you want to push the line into the fitting. You want to kind of push it in, and as you're pushing it in, you want to have a wrench on here and have another wrench on here and be tightening this down, and basically tighten it down as far as you can and give it a couple good tugs, and it's not going to come out of there. It's going to be stuck in there pretty solid. And I just did one on the oil cooler line, transmission fluid line on the upper one in the radiator, and I checked it for leaks really quick, and I only ran the engine for maybe 10 seconds, just enough to get oil pressure because there's no fan belt on it right now. I didn't want to kill the battery, but it didn't leak a drop. This is just a really great little, it's a cheap little fix if you have a hole or a crack in a fuel line or a transmission line. Instead of replacing the entire line, which can get pretty expensive and be a big pain in the ass, especially on a lot of tight, compact front-wheel drive cars. Instead of the alternative, which most people just put a piece of 3/8 hose over it and some adhesive and hose clamp it on there. I've done that before. It doesn't last very long. It's just not a good repair. This is a quality repair without spending tons of money and tons of time. Okay, so this is what that fitting was in the radiator, and it had a flared end on it. I used my little cutting tool to cut the flared end off of it. And just gonna take the compression fitting, and you just make sure the flat end is towards the threads. You slide it over, and then you slide the collar over. The collar goes on either way, so you can't mix that up. And it might not go on so smoothly, but I got it go on. And then you thread this piece in, and you noticed that's hand tight, and that will slide out. So what I'm going to do is going to take a couple of wrenches. I got a 5/8 there and a 9/16 in the middle, and I'm going to tighten that down. It's going to be really sort of difficult. This is obviously easier than it being in the car. but okay. Now that I've got tightened down, that's not going to come out of there. Or I can then screw this into the radiator, of course, with some type of sealant around here, whether it's Teflon tape or whatever. And then I'll take the other line, stick the line in there with, of course, this over it, and repeat the process. 9/16 wrench holding the fitting in place. Mix them up there. 9/16 wrench holding it in place with 5/8 on the fitting. Tighten it down, and you're good.